Welcome to Fast Effect Double Speed Magic from ELD's Time Vault Games. We have an exciting one here. Rude on Reanimator, leading off with a Putrid Imp versus Josh on a blue-white Tidestill is what he's calling it. Him and his brother Jacob have been working on this list, and it has been putting up good results. Both players undefeated at this point of the tournament. The winner here will definitely be able to draw into the top 8 if they choose to do so. Zombie Infestation, just a really menacing card for control decks to play against. Ensures that there's going to be inevitability on the side of the Zombie Infestation player. They can just keep discarding cards to make bodies and potentially overwhelm the other side of the table, no matter how many counter spells they have. Once that's resolved, there's just far fewer cards that can actually get it off the board than there are that can stop it from hitting. Just a lot of lands for Josh. Swords to Plowshares, Parallax Tide. Not a great hand in this matchup. Those Swords to Plowshares offers some relief from kind of the larger amount of hands that are just blowouts, where you have a quick Rorix, for example. Sword's not great against Zombie Infestation. But if Rodney were to reanimate something nasty, might help. And here we go. Buried Alive. Looks like a Blade Wings Thrall. Crosis might have been in there. I expect we will see. And a Standstill. Josh going to put the test to Rodney. Does he just crack this and allow Josh to draw 3? Or will he just sit behind the Standstill, discarding cards, making an army of zombies? Definitely not an intuitive play. It looks like Josh actually traded his Fairy Conclave with a zombie token. Mishra's Factory, if he does find them, can do some serious work holding off hordes of zombies. Blocking and then tapping means that they survive combat. And of course, if Rodney has discarded enough cards to make that many zombies, it's quite possible that a Wrath of God isn't going to be that much of a problem for Josh to recover from once he plays it. Rodney drawing 3. I mean, Josh could just have a tremendous amount of card advantage at that point if it goes that way. But no, Josh cracking his own Standstill, which does not feel good when your opponent has a Zombie Infestation on board. You're guaranteed to be giving them at least 2 to 4 power if they choose to cash it in, and if not, it's because they have better plans than just discarding and making zombies. What a nightmare card in the main deck. Parallax Tide. Rodney's already resolved the spells that matter. Let's see how this goes. Of course, if you can get all of his lands off of the board, bouncing, for example, if he makes a Chain of Vapor line here. This could get interesting. Could be a very interesting example of the stack. If Josh does have a Chain of Vapor, he could make a very interesting play. Target his own lands, let that resolve, then target Rodney's lands, respond with Chain of Vapor, bouncing those on Parallax Tide, and then Parallax Tide will get returned, and then you can go ahead and bounce that Zombie Infestation, with leaving Rodney with no way to recast it. Of course, you'd need the Wrath of God after, but that would be why you'd be removing your lands with Parallax Tide, so they'd come back untapped. That would be a sick line. I don't know if it's available. Let's see what happens here. So this looks like it's all in response to Parallax Tide. Let's see what Josh does here. Facing down 10 power at 7 health. Oh, looks like he is making the play as described. This may be done in a way that's slightly more confusing than I'm advocating. I would think that you would just remove the 2 counters, remove your 2 lands. That's bought and paid for. Then remove the 3 counters, respond with a Chain of Vapor. But let's see. Either way, Rodney's going to be losing these lands. He's not going to have any type of stack interaction. And he does still have lethal on board. All right, we're moving forward. Chain of Vapors, going to return. Oh, and he's getting rid of a zombie? Interesting. I would have thought he would have been getting rid of zombie infestation. Apparently, he can't make the play. That would have been ideal. Would have been great to be able to Wrath of God after. We got a Swords to Plowshares and a Chain of Vapor. Get the other one. And another Chain of Vapor still in hand. Parallax Tide. Well, I don't know what that accomplishes here. Rodney has no lands. We have a Parallax Tide and a Chain of Vapor targeting it. I believe this would just be mana neutral. It costs 5 to pull this play off. Yeah, let me know in the comments what I'm missing here. It looks like a mana neutral play. I don't see any advantage of doing it that way. I mean, you can just Chain of Vapor a token. That's totally fine. Yeah. I might be missing something, or Josh might have overthought that. Let me know in the comments. Rodney still has a zombie infestation on board, though. That really needs to get out of there. Josh is at 2. It is very unfortunate that this infestation hasn't been able to be bounced with all of those Chain of Vapors flying around. There was even a stifle stopping an activation at one point. There's a factory, that helps. Now an AK for 3. And I believe this may do it. There's a Chain of Vapor in hand. Finally gets this zombie infestation off the board. Rodney will be able to make 2 guys, or a guy, bringing him up to 2. And Impulse. Quick decision there. Now down to 1. And a Wrath of God to clear the board. At that point, Rodney 0 permanents. I look forward to seeing the comments on that. Well, Rodney will have the play here, leading out with the Putrid Imp. Similar opener to last game. We've got a 1-mana spell here. Is this going to be discard? No, the Zombie Infestation. Very similar to last game. That is a key card. Josh had to do some incredible gymnastics to handle it last game. We'll see if he can do the same here. Once that's down, blowing up Rodney's mana base, just not the same impact as it would typically have on an opponent. Usually if they have no mana, they can't continue to improve their board presence, but Zombie Infestation, just a continual value engine. See a varied hand here: Impulse, AK, Mana Leak, Parallax Tide, Wrath of God. 1 or 2 of these can easily go. Cabal Therapy can be flashed back. Mana Leak is taken. And now Life Death, bringing back Crosis. Wrath of God sealed the deal last game, but currently 3 mana in play. That's not going to be enough. Be able to clear this Crosis. This guy's potentially just going to strip Josh's entire... Well, I guess probably hits Wrath of God next. So it'll be kind of like a very accurate Hypnotic Spectre. After that, though, stripping all of the blue cards is going to make it very difficult for Josh to get back into the game. He does chump block with a Fairy Conclave, giving himself the opportunity to find a Swords to Plowshares or Chain of Vapor to potentially not get domed by this Crosis's triggered ability. Does look a lot like an activated ability. It is just a trigger. And there's the Swords to Plowshares. He made the investment, and it paid off. Crosis is out of there. Fairy Conclave sacrificed itself for the greater good. But on the ground, Zombie Infestation squaring off against a Mishra's Factory. It is really not what Reanimator signs up for. But he's got the Squee engine going here, so discarding Squee each turn, that'll return to his hand. Wrath of God, gonna clear the way. But gonna be very easy to rebuild. Looks like 2 Squees being discarded each turn. So this is just a 2/2 every single turn, like a cracked up Bitter Blossom. It's a non-stop stream of zombies. Another Wrath of God. Ooh, and a Phyrexian Furnace. That's a welcome card here. Would have been much more exciting as a Tormod's Crypt. And it looks like he's just jamming all in. Down to 1. So discarded all but 1 card. He has 1 more damage to deal. That does shut off the Adhikar Wastes. At least for colored mana, they can certainly activate those factories, which may be necessary. And Josh scooping it up, does not have a 3rd factory. No way to answer the zombie infestations. And we're on to game number 3. Josh with the play this time. And we see Duress giving Rodney the lay of the land. He's quite a bit of interaction. Swords to Plowshares is going to go. Unfortunately, the thing that Josh's deck is designed to do, not as impactful as you'd hope in this particular matchup. This has got to be really not favorable. Something that can definitely be addressed with a sideboard. Though it's a variety of threats. We got Zombie Infestation as a threat on its own, combined with Squee post-board to really create an insane amount of value. And then, of course, the explosiveness of Reanimator, being able to Dark Ritual out, potentially a first turn, just hellacious start. Thankfully for the non-black mages, the threats are not just straight up lethal on the first turn. It's not like a turn 1 kill, but it can set quite a bit of violence in motion. Rorik's coming out for 6. I don't know that those are the best hands for Reanimator, but they are very scary. Yeah, Tide, getting rid of Rodney's mana base, but he's got power on board. It looks like 8 power. I believe he's using that die to represent 2 power, not 2 zombies. And Impulse, trying to find a Swords to Plowshares. Impulse again. There's the Swords. That buys him some time, but not a ton. 2 damage comes in. Factory is able to block this zombie. Standstill has come down. Rodney just needs to punch through one more hit. He has a zombie. Josh with the Mishra's Factory. That is negated. Oh, and Josh actually mana leaks this duress. That is interesting. I would feel like his mana would be the most important resource right now with all of those cards in hand. Especially if you have multiple counter spells. Who cares if he takes one? It's the same as him duressing it is better than you paying 2 mana and discarding it from hand. An exception to that would be Cabal Therapy, where you have like a fistful of the same cards. No, he's got a Swords and he's got a mana leak left. Yeah, I don't love that. Let's see how this plays out. The Disenchant could be a welcome card to stop Zombie Infestation from going too crazy. We've got a mana leak to stop it. So he plays the Standstill, attacks. Cabal Therapy breaks the Standstill. Grabbing a Swords to Plowshares. Looks like he's got an Impulse. Only 1 white mana. Does Impulse into Swords to Plowshares maybe where he needs to be? Oh, he's got another Cabal Therapy. Cabal Therapy pretty much going to name Swords to Plowshares. Oh no, he named Disenchant. Interesting. Allowing him to potentially have drawn a Swords. Phyrexian Furnace. I just thought Rodney was going to reanimate and win there. Now he's facing down Phyrexian Furnace. Mishra's Factory's turning sideways. Here's a Zombie Infestation. That gets mana leaked with a top decked mana leak. Another Zombie Infestation. And this one should probably do it. I don't think Josh has an answer to a couple of zombies. See if Rodney actually makes the play, or if he's going to be too concerned about multiple pieces of removal in Josh's hand. I think he's had 2 blind draws. Now 3. Plays the land. I don't know about playing lands in this situation. I think the only thing keeping Josh alive is Rodney's fear or respect, whatever you want to call it. Another factory is a complication in the plan for sure. Zombie Infestation, just such a strong card, being able to play around Wrath of God as well. Rodney can potentially make a army during the end step, untap, and win. Of course, if Josh has any piece of removal, that'll just utterly unravel, as the 2 factories will be able to block 2 zombies, and that third one will get taken care of. Unfortunately, you can only have 7 cards on your opponent's turn when you're playing with Reanimator. It's not like he has the ability to draw up to a fistful of cards with a couple of Factor Fictions or something similar. We've got Exhume. And looks like he's discarding to Zombie Infestation. No, Exhume's just going to resolve. Yeah, Exhume resolves. You definitely can't Exhume and then pass priority and then discard a card. Not quite sure what I witnessed there. I cannot believe how long this game has gone on. It's a good thing we do these at double speed. Josh trying to dig his way back into this game underneath a standstill, facing down a zombie infestation, actually attacking. I don't know if he's representing Decree of Justice. There's a Dust Bowl. Not super useful versus a deck of basic swamps. I mean, I don't know if Decree makes any sense. I feel like if you had Decree, you would just cycle. Take out Reanimator. So this game continues. A fistful of cards on Rodney's side. Yeah, I guess in this type of situation, you can draw up to 8 cards, make some zombies, make a zombie, and then discard the other 3 during the end step, potentially forcing them to Wrath of God, breaking their own standstill if they won't be able to withstand 10 total power. Right now, there's 3 factories. Impulse breaking his own standstill. It's just never a good place to be. And trying to do the thing with Parallax Tide. Minnesota's breaking the standstill during Rodney's end step and then disenchanting the zombie infestation to untap and Wrath of God. That's totally fine. But you're still going to need some counter magic to make sure he doesn't recover by reanimating Rorix. Yeah, Tide. Looks like Tide's going to be able to get bounced by Chain of Vapor, and then sacrifice a land, bounce the zombie infestation. This is pretty remarkable how long this game has gone on. Counterspell. Can't get past these zombies right now. Got a Dark Ritual. Oh, and this is a disaster. Whatever he plays, the double Dark Ritual, whatever rod he plays, if it does necessitate a counterspell, Josh no longer has the mana to stand up his factories. So, Animate Dead on Rorix. If he had a little bit more mana, could potentially be able to stand up his factories and then tap them for mana to be able to pay for the other part of, say, a disenchant. Oh, and a powder keg on top of it? He has all the angles covered. The factories can't even stand up. Powder keg will take him out. So he has got this by a country mile. Punching through every conceivable situation at the end there. Reanimator takes it down in a surprisingly long game.